Hello, everyone. This is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Today, we are analyzing the structural architecture of experiential marketing, commercial sponsorship evaluation metrics, and strategic brand alliance development across competitive industries. In 2026, shielding a growing enterprise from skyrocketing digital ad costs and extreme consumer ad fatigue requires looking past passive screen placements to implement immersive physical experiences, verified audience engagement systems, and integrated national consumer campaigns. Joining us today is Margot Silverstein, the Associate Director of Growth from XMC, one of Canada's premier experiential marketing powerhouse agencies. Margot is a distinguished business development leader who directs new client strategy, agency partnerships, and large scale proposal execution across the sports, retail, financial services, and entertainment sectors. Operating with an agency that is officially trademarked experiential marketing over 20 years ago, she integrates event production, staffing logistics, and sponsorship valuation under one roof. So, before further ado, let's welcome this very special guest. Margot, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's very nice to meet you.
Now, Margot, modern consumers today are completely tuning out traditional display ads, right? Leaving many small and mid sized businesses bleeding capital on digital marketing campaigns that never trigger real product trial. Now, let's start the conversation by understanding, Margot, that why are real world brand experiences becoming more important than the traditional digital advertising out there? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, digital advertising is, of course, so important, but so is real world experiences. And we've realized that in the last 10 years we've had a lot has changed. And I think we've realized how important real life connection is. The digital marketing landscape is very busy. And because of that, brands are harder to having a
Mhm.
harder time breaking through because there's so much competition. So that real world experience and experiential marketing is ever so more important. And
Mhm.
how we see it here at XMC and how I see it as a marketer is that, that those real world experiential opportunities and programs are really there to be amplified on a digital level. So we'll set up pending budget activations
Mhm.
across the country, but it's impossible that we'll get every Canadian at our activation. And so
Right.
we like to pair our real world experiences and activations with those digital
Mhm.
components so we can make sure that we get eyes on the experience, not just by the people that are there in real life, but by those who see it on social and on media.
Very well articulated, Margot. Specifically, with so much noise, as you mentioned in the market, right? It is very important to define our unique selling point and then come across through it. That's amazing. Now, let's explore how businesses can, evaluate sponsorship opportunities and ensure that they deliver measurable results as well. So, from your extensive experience, Margot, how can companies effectively measure the ROI of sponsorship investments? Because it's not SEO or Google that you put in a certain amount and then you're getting certain response from it, right? So, what should the mindset be broadly when you're expecting ROI from any sponsorship?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think, my outlook on it is that, the sponsorship isn't promised to be successful for you once it's in place.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of work that needs to go into the strategy side of things. And then once that's done, there's a lot of work that needs to go into the evaluation side of things. So, I'm of the mindset that that post-campaign report is becoming obsolete. What we really need to be doing is monitoring our sponsorships in real time to make sure
Mm-hmm.
we're able to optimize our partnerships in real time as well, so that we're not waiting until that post-campaign report to see what worked and what didn't, and then making modifications for the next year ahead. We want to make sure that we're making those modifications during the season and making sure that our brand is showing up as much as possible, so we're seeing the strongest ROI on our partnerships. And that's something here at XMC. We have a division that does that and utilizes some really sophisticated tools in order to do that and show up in real time for our clients.
That is indeed a very important point because, as you said, the best sponsorships are driven by strategy, measurement, and clear business objectives. So, thank you so much for that. I'd also want to discuss what it takes to successfully scale experiential campaigns across multiple markets and locations, right? Because every market works differently, and those small nuances, only you as a marketer can understand that. So, what exactly does it take to successfully execute a large scale national brand activation? Go ahead.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things that need to go into place. For us here at XMC, we're very data driven, and so it's very important to make sure that we are not straying too far from those KPIs that are established by the client on the onset when we're
Mhm.
going out. We're going out to execute. So, oftentimes I see in the marketplace, account
Mhm.
teams will go out and execute an activation, and one thought will lead to the next, and before you know it, you're sort of gotten away from the main point of the activation. So here at
Right.
XMC, it's really important that we always keep those KPIs in mind. Ultimately, I think of our job is making sure that our clients look the best they can in front of their leaders, and ultimately they're able to move the needle with their brand, like they've gone out and sought out to do.
Wow, that's definitely a key takeaway. Uh, Also, I think consistency in execution is essential when delivering large-scale brand experiences. And building on what you've said, Margot, I'd like to give a special message to all of our listeners now, specifically to all the chief marketing officers, brand managers, scaling corporate directors who are watching and listening this. Wasting your marketing capital on easily ignored digital banner ads is a massive strategic mistake in 2026. Armed with over 2 decades of industry dominance, Margot Silverstein and the elite team at XMC Unify Strategy, Production, and Verified Staffing Infrastructure to engineer unforgettable experiential campaigns that maximize trial and engagement. So stop settling for low digital conversion percentages and visit xmc.ca today to claim your custom experiential activation roadmap. Now, coming back to you, Margot, I'm loving this conversation, by the way. Let's now look at how organizations can create engaging experiences while operating within their strict regulatory environments as well. So, how exactly do brands create those experiences while not crossing that thin line, right? Staying compliant in the regulated industry. So, how do you find that balance?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and one we work with our clients on a daily basis. We're
Uh-huh.
the executive record for Molson, Zonic, as well as Campari. So we know the space well. And a big one for us too, and something to keep in mind, speaking to Canada specifically, is that every province operates differently. And so remaining curious, remaining interested, and keeping
Mhm.
up to date with those regulations in those provinces that you're looking to activate in is critical. So I would say that's really the first piece. And as well, in areas in which you're not able to trial, you really
Mhm.
need to make sure that you're creating a compelling, strong, cohesive storytelling, experiential programs
Mhm.
that when your consumers come to visit you, you're leaving them with a lasting impact of your brand, one that's easy to understand, and one that will drive them to a place where they can lawfully engage with your brand, purchase your brand, and become a new consumer of yours. So that's
Mhm.
really important to us, is making sure that storytelling is top of mind. And when you do get the opportunity to sample your
Mhm.
product, just again remaining nimble in your activations, making sure you have a plan B. If we've learned anything in the world the past 10 years, things can
Just
look
to have
very
a plan
different.
B.
Yes, things can look very different from one day to the next.
Yeah.
So making sure that you've got your T's crossed and your I's dotted is crucial, because those regulations change, and they change quickly. So making sure that we're prepared on our end to still execute and still meet those KPIs is critical for us to make sure we're showing up the best possible for our clients.
That's another great perspective, Margot. Creative campaigns, I think, are most effective when innovation and compliance work together hand in hand.
Exactly.
So, thank you for shedding some light on that. Let's now explore how community involvement and philanthropy help share stronger leaders in organizations. So everyone has a different definition of, what leadership means, what community involvement means. From your experience and from your values, how does community involvement help develop stronger business leaders as well?
Yeah. So during COVID, I left my full-time job working in fundraising
Okay.
to pursue a career in marketing, but I knew I wanted to stay involved. And so I joined a youth philanthropy group with a health system that's very close to my heart personally. And since then, my role has certainly expanded with them.
Mhm.
But it's really given me, first and foremost, an opportunity to give back to an institution that's really important to me. But since then, and since my role with them has expanded, it's also given me the opportunity to, continue to network. I find, once you've graduated school and you're settled in your career, unless you really put the work in, it's difficult, or I shouldn't say it's difficult, but it requires work to continue to build your network and foster your network. And so I've been really fortunate to be able to have an opportunity to not only do that with myself,
Mhm.
or for myself, but with create a space for others to do that with each other too. And these opportunities have given me and again my peers who I've gotten engaged with our group with Sinai Health Foundation, Future Sinai, really an opportunity to do that. They become leaders within their event committees. They're able to put on events that are outside of the scope of their day-to-day job, and really build their networks and hone in on some of those skill sets that perhaps they were looking to build on and don't necessarily get the opportunity to do with their day to day.
Uh, that's so beautifully articulated. I'm so proud of, what everything that you've done so far. Community engagement, I think it often develops leadership skills that extend far beyond just business as well, right? And I was about to ask you that you are so passionate about what you do. How did you end up being, in this position and doing what you're getting to do today? You shared a little bit part of it, but as a kid, did you always know that you would want to, do something that is entrepreneurship related, or did you stumble upon this in your career?
Yeah, I think, when I first thought about what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
I wanted to do fundraising events, and I had the fortunate
Uh-huh.
opportunity to do that at the start of my career, and I enjoyed it so much. And it was actually an internship with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment that really opened my eyes to the world of sports and entertainment. And so,
Yeah.
I saw through that dream of fundraising events, but really had my sights set on the sports and entertainment world, which I found myself in, and I'm very grateful to be there. But I think that, back to that point on community involvement, I think,
Yeah.
for some people that can look really different depending on your capacity at the time.
Right.
For some, it might just mean donating $5 to your colleagues' marathon run that they're running in support of an organization. And for
Mhm.
others, it might be donating their time. But I think it's really critical to remain involved with your community and give back where you can.
Beautiful. I'm loving this conversation, as I said, and definitely I'd love for you to be back, hopefully for an in-person episode that we do the next with you. But for now, today, Margot, before we let you go, if there's one final piece of advice that you have for our listeners today, for businesses who are looking to create more impactful customer experiences, if you could whisper one thing into their ears, what would you say and why?
I think, it's really important to look at the activation itself, but also beyond it. Like I said at the start, that activation should really be your core piece to building out a full 360 degree marketing campaign. You want that activation piece to be an opportunity to amplify your brand nationally and internationally. And so that's really important to us. We make sure that we create those moments that live far beyond the festival grounds or the activation zones, and that an activation that can create a really lasting impact for a long, long time.
I think that is an exceptional reminder that ambitious ideas only succeed when they are backed by rigorous strategy, strong human relationships, and measurable business outcomes. So, Margot, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was lovely to meet you.
All right, that was Margot Silverstein from XMC, a masterclass in moving past superficial advertising to engineer high yielding brand experiences, leveraging structured sponsorship consulting to erase financial guesswork, and understanding how her leadership within Future Sinai is shaping community impact and market growth across Canada in 2026. So, to all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more such resources. To learn more about how we are supporting the ecosystem, please visit the Canadian SME Small Business Foundation at smbfoundation.ca. And lastly, a very special thank you to our partners, UPS, our shipping partner, and ADP, our HR partner, for their ongoing commitment to empowering SMBs across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.